Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And it's bad out there, you guys. It's bad out there. There's diseases. It's basically outbreak in real life now.
I know. Whoever
which
thought
is
we'd
a
get
great
here.
episode. Listen to that if you need a little chuckle with
I was
seriousness
gonna
mixed in.
post about that and didn't know if it was like too soon, or are you the type of people who, when something like this is going down, you want to listen and about pandemics and watch
understand
movies
that.
about massive all this the world ending kind of stuff. Not that the
Why?
world's
Why is
ending,
that
people.
helpful?
Okay, that's not what's going on here. But it's an outright good cautionary tale. I thought that was a really good podcast we did just for that fact alone. Will it get you through these dark times? Maybe.
We'll see.
Dark days.
But anyways, yeah, so coronavirus, pretty serious. We're all like quarantined and have to stay working from home. Get a little crazy. Sweetie and I are recording this remotely because Sweetie was like, oh, P.S. My friend was hanging out with someone who was in the same hotel as all the people that got the coronavirus. And I was like, what?
No.
It's like,
That
that's
is
it.
not
You
what
are
happened.
out.
This is how crazy this is getting, because it's becoming like and Sweetie and I have joked about this because we do it like the Wayne's World thing, which is about how secrets gets passed around, right? And they tell two friends, and they tell two friends,
tell
and
two
so on, and so on.
And so on.
So it's a great way to visually picture like how something would spread. However, my case is a little bit different. I did hang out with my friend who did tell me that she hung out with her friend on Saturday, and she was at this convention where two people have gotten it. So two people out of a convention of I don't know how many thousands of people rolled in there. So yeah, it's like pretty rare, but like that is how people are getting it. So you just got to be on guard. I support it. I don't think I can go without seeing Sweetie for 2 weeks though. So better if I can just put on a hazmat suit or something. Because this shit is boring. We're only one day in.
Anyways.
I'm bored.
You know how crazy coronavirus is? It's so crazy that somebody really famous got it yesterday and everybody, the world stopped. The world is in shock. That person is Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. And what was it that like, was it a 30 Rock? Oh, no. Kimmy Schmidt, where they had something where like Tom Hanks had like died, and it was like they made some like fake thing, and like how the world was like so sad that it was like the saddest it ever was when Tom Hanks died or something. It was some comedy or whatever. And this just like took me back to that, and I was like, oh my God. Like, for the record, I think he's going to be fine. He's posting pictures from like, I don't know if you saw the one today of like someone sent him a volleyball with like a red handprint on it, Wilson, like in the hospital, like help him feel better. And Tom Hanks, if you follow his Twitter at all, his whole Twitter feed is just like gloves on the ground and being like, who lost this glove on Lexington and 4th or something, and he like posts it, and he always signs it Hanks, Hanx. And so the one he posted about the coronavirus was like a hospital glove in like a wastebasket or something. So it's like fitting with his whole Twitter thing. It was awesome. But okay, I think he's gonna be okay. So thank you, Tom Hanks. But people saying, that really made people take this seriously once someone like that everybody knew, Tom Hanks is like afflicted with it. So, good for him. He did his
Shit
job.
is serious, you guys.
shit is
So Sweetie
serious.
and I thought it might be a good idea to do a tribute to our fave, Tom Hanks, Tommy. So Sweetie, I was like, what Tom Hanks movies could possibly be left in the world? And Sweetie was like, here are 20. And then she listed off a bunch, and I picked one. And the one I picked, you guys, is, drum roll please, you've got mail.
I wanted you to say it like the little robot voice.
And I wasn't it?
That was pretty good.
Did
That was pretty good.
Kind of did. You do
You've
it.
got mail. You've got mail. Close, maybe.
Your first one was like, you forgot to try.
Yes, exactly.
just like-
you just
that
like
is
say-
exactly what happened.
Whoops. Yeah, you got mail, guys. 1998. I want to say, and this is a true statement. We saw this in the movie theater. Me, Sweetie, Carol. Remember, we were like
don't
kind of
know.
towards the front row. Yep, we were in the front row. Like it was a pretty popular movie. We got there late, before assigned seating. And
It would have been too little.
Nope, we saw it. I mean, I was like a sophomore in high school, so I was not too little at all. Adorable film.
Wow. Oh my God.
I've seen this movie several, like, I don't know, I want to say 50 times. I think I told Jimmy today 100. That was exaggerating for sure, but it's just like Meg Ryan says in the movie. She's read Pride and Prejudice 100 times. Doubtful. She's probably read it 20, but you exaggerate.
That's her exaggeration number.
Yeah. But I've definitely seen this movie at least like 50 times. Not only on rentals, I think we owned it. Always on TV, one of those. And it's, it's a Nora Ephron joint. I mean, that's my joint. I know people talk about Spike Lee joint, but Nora Ephron joint.
Well, that's
she
like
wrote
his
this.
that's like his trademark.
I know. I'm just making fun of it. She wrote this with her sister Delia. So if you're like a fan of her rom-coms, which are always so good, this is one of the best and came about, I think, just at a time when the world was really changing. And now, you watch that movie and you're like, whoa, like all that stuff, emailing, like, whoa, was so new to people. And there was just talk of, it changing the world. And obviously it really did. But it's so interesting to from where we are now, how much that is just like a regular part of our lives. And that was so new to people in like 1998,
Yeah, they're like, what is this? I mean, we were there, so we remember, but it really was like this amazing. It was what a
That
time
you
to
could
be alive, guys.
Send letters
Absolutely
like
alive.
instantly like that. And I was
Instantly.
thinking that like
Instantly.
in 1998, so as Sweetie said, like you were in middle school, right? I was in high school.
Like 6th grade, I think.
And we were, we remember when the internet came out, we had it. We had AOL. We were too young to use email though. I mean, we definitely were all about the instant messenger for sure. And that continued like, through high school and into
used
college,
email.
but we didn't really use email.
What? Yes, we did.
I don't
All the time.
I don't remember emailing until like,
the, like-
late high school and almost into college, I think.
I had like several boyfriends through email, but like, remember what was the email address that like mom had, like our first email account, and it was like on Netscape or something, but it wasn't called Netscape. It was like,
Netscape.
I forget what the email thing was called, but that's what I used, I think. And then I had an Angel Fire account. Oh my God. So great.
Yeah.
But no, the internet was,
I
the
mean,
best.
just such a crazy time. Obviously, you're talking about like pre 9/11, so that like politically and like world stuff obviously was like, you can date almost like time after that. So this was pre that, and it was really like I was saying, just this like shift of technology being such a part of our lives, and how it was so smart for Nora Ephron to take this story, which is this a remake of this movie, The Shop Around the Corner. Which was about people basically being pen pals and not knowing that they knew each other in real life, and then they like were these pen pals and fell in love with each other. Starred Jimmy Stewart, the guy from The Wizard of Oz, crazy, the wizard, because I like looked up who was in it. And it's not a bookshop or anything. It's like they work at like a leather goods store or something, I think. Yeah, it's not about books, but so clever to like take that idea and be like, okay, where are we now in society? Like, how can I make this relevant, and people will connect to it. And I think that was like so smart. And she was such a cool lady. If you don't know about Nora Ephron and all her like great movies, so obviously like Sleepless in Seattle, Heartburn,
When Harry Met Sally?
When Harry Met Sally. So she did some director, but mostly writing. So big like screenplay writer and books. And she has like a lot of book collections. She died, I think like I don't want to say 10 years ago, but like such a cool lady. And she just had such like a great way of writing, and like her scripts are so like snappy and sharp and just awesome. I've just like loved her. So I've always just loved this film. I mean, has it like aged okay? I mean, it's like I said, it's like interesting to watch this with how much technology we have now and how much of a part of our life it is.
Right.
It does feel dated in that way, but in like a good way.
Yeah, it feels like a cozy, like dated sweater or something. This movie just fills me with like an unimaginable amount of nostalgia, and I just find it so comforting. But yeah, definitely. I mean, they'd have to definitely update it super a lot today, right? Because you'd have like the social media element, and then online dating or whatever. Like, there's all these things where like it's not unusual. You need like a new unusual situation to spark up a friendship with someone, I guess. Because now it's so common to just like, I mean, maybe not chat rooms so much anymore, but just like meeting people online, and there's that thing in the 90s, people were so like ashamed to meet somebody on the internet.
I know.
And now it's just like, you haven't met on the internet? And it's like a strange thing if you haven't. So yeah,
right.
I mean,
now it's reversed.
It's wild. But our mom, Carol, loves this movie. She, I think, is probably responsible for giving it like our love to this movie.
I agree with that 100%.
Or an appreciation for it, maybe. So Sweetie and I, obviously, we saw this when you were in high school, I was in middle school. Again, hadn't really made it to this point in our life where we were like finding love, like soulmate kind of love. We were very like, oh, that guy's cute, I want to kiss him, right? Like this kind of love was, I think, over our heads probably a little bit. Carol, on the other hand, ended this movie in the flower garden, somewhere over the rainbow. Carol just like would lose it every time, and we'd be like, "Mom, I'm crying," and like it was just, we didn't like get it. And then all of a sudden you like turn 30 or whatever, and you're just like, what? And you just like, you get it.
Totally.
And it's just like, it's just
and
such
now
a
I
good
cry
moment.
every time, and now I'm not
time.
so sure if it's even about the romance, because like I have a little problem with the romance because I don't, and we'll talk about this. I love Tom Hanks. He's my legit favorite actor, no doubt about it. He does not, for me, play a romantic lead. I just like can't see him that way. And I think they have a very friendly chemistry in this. And in the end, when they kiss, it like really doesn't even work for me. But I think that scene just with the music, and I think I just think of Mom crying. And it makes me cry. Honestly, I think it's because of that. If like Mom hadn't cried, I don't think I would have cried. Because now I just like remember our mother, and like she's still here. Like she'll still watch and cry. It's not like she's like gone or anything. But for some reason, I just have this like, watching my mom cry during movies makes me want to cry.
With the Afghan like pulled up to her, like, and she's like,
and like
she does
and
that,
I
like,
can just
little...
and I'll remember this forever. Like even when Mom is no longer with us someday, like I'll remember how she cries too. Like the way like it's this build up, and you just start hearing little things from her, and then all of a sudden it's like I can just play it in my head. Like I don't even, and it just gets me
crying
going.
right now. You look glassy. Your eyes look glossy.
No, I did cry.
So yeah, that is so true. That is hilarious. Love you, Carol. Love you. So obviously all-star cast for this one. Tom Hanks, clearly. Meg Ryan, the romantic comedy duo of the century, right? You've got Joe versus the Volcano. You've got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, the triumvirate really of romantic comedies. Back together again. I remember that was like a big thing about this movie. People were like, "Oh my God, reunion!" Then you've also got some great side people. Parker Posey, love that bitch. Dave Chappelle, random as fuck. Greg Kinnear, love him, but total Frank is such a drip. I can't even handle it.
He's the worst.
I honestly can't.
I know, and it does not make sense. Like when they break up and they're like, "Why? I can't believe it isn't working. We're perfect for each other." I'm like, "Are you? Like, why do you like him?" Like,
I know, it's so
I just
weird.
feel like they miss the mark on that like all the time. And same thing with like Tom Hanks's person. You're like, "What? Like, why were you with that woman? I feel like you can't stand her. Like, you're just nice, but
Right.
Anyway.
And I guess maybe that was like, that was like the point. But
Right.
But yeah, it is very bizarre. And then also Lenny from That Thing You Do, or whatever his name is,
Steve
which we can never
Zahn,
remember. Oh yeah,
Zane.
oh my God, is Lenny? I love him. One of my favorite. He's just my favorite in whatever movie he's in. I'm always just
Yeah.
like, I love him. He has a really great line that I wrote down that I'm going to start using for everyday purposes. So get ready. And then the girl who's in Miss Congeniality as Miss Rhode Island, Cheryl whatever, is the other woman. And then Birdie
Perfect Date.
is and Birdie is that famous actor
Gene Stapleton.
Smart? Stapleton.
Gene
Who's
Stapleton.
Smart? Oh, I know who that is. It's not her. Yeah. Gene Stapleton. So, wow. I mean, did I leave anyone out? There's so many people in this.
Dabney Coleman. So he's the
Who's that?
dad. He's Joe Fox's dad. So he was in 9 to 5. He's like the jerky boss in 9 to 5.
Ah.
That's kind of the role that I know him
Okay.
in. Like kind of like an old actor. But yeah, great cast.
So good.
As I said, written by Nora Ephron and her sister Delia. Not directed by her, though. I think it was somebody else.
No, I thought she did. I thought this was like the one she directed.
I think she did. Oh, no, she did. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. You're right. Yep, she directed it too. Yeah, so just like perfect film for me. And it's such a New York film too. So if you had like never been to New York, you would just fall in love with it after seeing this. I remember. It's like
makes
it's
it so
and it brings out obviously all like the great things about New York and really doesn't bring out any of the bad things, which is why would a movie bring out the bad things? But it really does a good job of that.
rats?
Right.
about
And
the crime?
also the movies that do the 4-season thing, just I mean that's like my favorite of all time. When you go through like lives of characters, or you see a city in every season, and it's just like so cozy and I just like love it. It's just every part you're like, oh yay, like winter, Christmas, springtime.
Did we see summer though?
Like,
I don't remember summer. I don't think summer
I guess
happens.
I guess it was just 3 because
they
they
kinda-
start talking about fall. Yeah.
They really gloss over winter. There's no snow. I don't think, anyways.
It's like New York. They don't get that much.
Well, it's just Christmas. What? It's like anywhere else.
Nah.
So yeah, super love it. Obviously, it's great. Okay, I guess we should just start talking about it before we just talk about everything that we are going to talk about after this part. So let's do it.
Okay. It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
She's beautiful, but she's a pill.
I love that. You know,
I love
like,
that line.
I feel like a mom used to call people a pill all the time, and like it's not really used that much anymore. But I think we should start bringing it back.
Is it?
And call
But you
people
know I
pills.
did. You know I did that line though, right?
Because he says it in it.
Because he goes pill. And
Yeah.
he does it like that.
Yeah,
that,
and he like
weird
says
way.
it in that way.
And he
yeah.
and he doesn't do it just once. He does it twice because he like repeats it, and you're just like, what is with that line delivery? It has like bothered me since I saw this film. I'm like, and I love Tom Hanks, and I'm like, okay, anything you do is like gold, but I was like, that sticks out so
Leave
much.
him
for
alone.
me. Pill,
Leave
you're
him
a pill,
alone.
sweetie. You're a pill.
I was hoping you would do my new favorite Lenny line. I'm just gonna keep calling him Lenny. His name's George in this. We'll switch to George. He says, "This place is a tomb. I'm going to the nut shop where it's fun."
What did he say that about?
It's like towards the end, and he's like, they're like making fun of him, or I don't know, I forget. There's like nobody in the store because they're going out of business or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to this place is a tomb.
Do you feel like
and
that
they show
store
the nut
was?
shop in the beginning?
Do you feel like that store was overstaffed at all? Like, why were so many people?
Well, I
working
don't
there?
understand why Birdie
No wonder
has to
she
be
ran
on the
out of
staff
business.
full time. She's like the bookkeeper, and she's like they got her like checking out books or something. Like it's so
I mean,
weird.
the store is like the size of a shoebox, and they have like 5 people working in it. I'm like,
The shoe
here's how to
around the
save
corner.
money. Like,
Yeah.
I think those people do not have to
Where
be
do
there.
they even stand? Yeah, it's kind
I
of
don't
it's a little wacky, but sweet little family. Anyways, we'll get to it. So, Kathleen oh my God,
Kelly.
this is playing. I keep being like Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kelly is a New York City sweet woman who is in a relationship, I guess, with Frank, who's a drip and is a writer for The Observer. And he writes like super stupid articles about how like technology is ruining the world or like whatever. And I'm like, listen, Frank, like, what do you think is powering your little typewriter there? Like, that's technology. What a weirdo. Anyways, so
Well, that was a lot of people. I mean, you have to remember that time where people were like flipping out about that stuff. And if you're a journalist, I mean, you kind of have the right to be because like look how much that changed. But
I just don't like
anyway.
his VCR thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Typewriter?
No, when he's like, the whole point behind the VCR is so that you can leave the house and miss what's on TV. I'm like, that's not the point of going out. Like, you're going out because you got like shit to do. You're not like, ugh, I don't want to watch this show, so I'm not going to be here, but I'm going to record it. Like, that doesn't make sense. Anyways, Kathleen is the owner of a little shop, a little bookshop, children's bookshop called The Shop Around the Corner. And her mom owned it, and then she gave it to Kathleen after she passed away. And now Kathleen runs it with this staffed, as Sweetie said. A lot of people. We got Birdie, the bookkeeper, old lady, probably a friend of her mom / lover. I'm gonna come out and say it. I think they had a relationship.
Yeah,
but
they never
whatever.
talk about any like dad or anything.
I know.
Guess it wasn't in her life.
We got George, who's like the guy, like I said, Lenny from That Thing You Do, super silly. And then the girl's name is Christine.
Yes.
Is that right? That's okay. Yeah. So she's living her life. Meanwhile, we've got Joe Fox, who is the son of a rich guy, who is the son of another rich guy. They're just rich, you know. So they're opening a Fox Books, which is basically like your Barnes and Noble,
Or your
kind of
Borders.
Mega, yeah. Ugh, I love Borders. I really miss it. I really miss
I know.
that Borders.
I
I liked
know.
it because it had books, music,
Yeah.
and movies.
I know.
And you had those things you could go around and you put the headphones on and listen to
Oh
a
my
sample of like
God.
a song.
I just
was
love
fun.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, good times. What was he saying? Oh yeah, Fox Books. Yeah. So he and Kathleen don't know each other, you guys, but actually they kind of do, because for the last however long, and they don't specify this, so it's not. I'm not sure how long they were like talking before we meet them, but they've been exchanging emails on AOL. We've got Shop Girl is Kathleen, and NY152 is Joe Fox.
They met in a chat room for over 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
Which
He
I was like,
wandered
wait a
into
minute.
the chat room.
I was like,
Yeah.
she's over 30, which like clearly she is, but like I don't know, I don't picture Tom Hanks's
But
character
she said
being
she
in
did
his
it on her
30s.
birthday as sort of a joke, which I was like, does that mean she just turned 30? And it's like,
Right.
now I can go to the over 30 chat room?
But he's supposed to be somewhat older, right? Not like incredibly,
knows?
but I don't know. They don't say
really know.
anything about ages.
Sometimes I wonder if they wrote this. I'm sure she probably wrote it with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in mind, or if it was just like it could have been anybody or like a younger people, and they're like, oh, but we have to get Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, and so it just like they didn't care. But who knows? So. So Kathleen finds out this Fox Books is moving in. She's like weirdly optimistic and is like, it'll be like the flower district. There's all those flower vendors, and if like that guy doesn't have what you're looking for, the other guy has it. And then and Birdie's like, and vice versa, because obviously, if the shop around the corner is not going to have it if Fox Books doesn't have it. Like Fox Books is meant to have everything. So everyone around her is kind of like,
And
okay,
also
like I think we're dead
discounted,
in the
right?
water.
So the thing with those big
Right.
bookstores and why we flocked to them was because they always had these discounted books. Because when you go to bookstores, like there is sticker shock for sure, and you're like, shit, this paperback is like $15.
Like Barnes and Noble is just as expensive.
Yeah, now it does seem like that, but I think like when it was in the 90s when this was coming about, there was definitely like this difference. But you know, now I have just so much more different like look about that when I'm like thinking about buying a book. I'm like, okay, this is like these are authors in some cases who like they don't make any money at all, and like this is how they're like surviving and making this art, and like it's not about getting it at the cheapest rate possible. It's about like you know, and I'm like a library patron. I don't buy books that often, but when I do, I'm like, okay, I feel really good about it, and I don't need it to be like a $2 book. Anyway, but that's the things with these bigger sellers, right? So they buy tons and are able to sell them at cheap prices because they buy like so many and move so much stock, let's say. So it was definitely like a thing in the 90s, you know, this all independent booksellers. And then you had, I don't know who thought of that concept of the Barnes and Noble or the Borders or whatever, but that was like just all the rage. I remember even in that time. And like Sweetie said, we were excited about it. It was a fun place to hang out because it just like had everything there. And not that like little bookshops weren't fun to hang out, but it just had like such a different vibe and just felt just like such, now looking back, like such cool. a time. I don't know.
You just felt cool.
Felt like,
I don't know.
like really cool. Like almost like a Virgin record store, but for books, you know, like it
or
just
Empire Records. Yeah. Like
Empire Records. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
The Virgin Megastore though in Times Square is like the coolest place I've ever been. Do you remember going there when we were little? Like when we went to that New York City trip.
That's not there anymore.
Oh my God. It was like a magical. I was like,
There's
what? It's like a mainstay.
No, I think it's
it was
gone,
like
as
park.
all record
like,
stores
There's 3
are.
floors.
Yeah. Well, now I mean the same thing. I mean that that industry
facade is
took
still
even
there.
a bigger hit because everyone just gets their music, you know, MP3s and online now. So and streams like hello. Anyway, so where were we? So Fox Books moving in. But Joe Fox hears about this Kathleen Kelly woman and decides he's with his aunt Annabelle and brother Matt, yeah, who are these little kids because he has this crazy family. So he has like a grandfather and his dad, and they all have had like multiple marriages, and it's like kind of confusing. His aunt, so basically his grandfather's daughter, is like a, I don't know, 6-7-year-old. And his dad just like knocked up this woman and had like a baby a couple years ago. So he's like a 4-year-old brother. So crazy.
Really creepy.
So he takes them sometime. So they like wander into Kathleen's store, and it's story lady, they call it. She's like dressed in this like cute princess hat, and she reads a passage from the Roald Dahl autobiography called Boy. Really good. If you haven't picked it up, it's a good book. And he realizes like, wow, this is like a special place. And there's this moment where his grandfather had actually known about this shop around the corner, and he had like taken Kathleen's mom on a couple dates. So he like kind of has that connection too. And just
they're supposed to, they were being like, oh, he's like the guy from Shop Around the Corner. I thought that's what they were trying to do with that.
I think like kind of, it was just kind of like a wink, you know, it was like a tongue-in-cheek thing, I think. But so he realizes, you know, like this place is really special, you know, has like, I think a little bit of a moment like, oh man. Because even though he comes from this corporate world and he has this family who's all about making money and doing these big takeovers and, you know, putting these, you know, there's a scene at the beginning where he's kind of excited that they've been able to shut down some independent booksellers because they're, you know, they can't sell as many books because of the Fox Books moving in. But he does have a heart, so he realizes like, oh God, I'm like pretty much gonna like destroy this lady's life. But Kathleen doesn't know who he is, so she just like greets him at the bookstore just like any customer, and then they run into each other at a book party. I think Frank, her boyfriend, is a writer, and then Joe's girlfriend, Patricia, is a publisher. She's like a publishing company. So they go to this book event or whatever, and she is like, oh, hey, Joe, I remember you. Like, remember me, whatever? And they have a little bit of a talk, but he's kind of avoiding her because he knows, like, she's going to find out who he is. And this guy comes up to Kathleen and is like, what? I can't believe you're talking to him. And she's like, talking to who? And he's like, Joe Fox. And she's like, oh, my God. Like, it's basically her, like, sworn enemy. So she goes up to him and confronts him, and then they kind of, from that point on, are sort of enemies, right? Like they, and they don't know at this point. Only you, as the audience, know that they are actually these pen pals on AOL, and have this great rapport, and are basically like falling in love online. But in real life, they're now like mortal enemies, right?
But there's still something there, even though they're enemies, right? Maybe it's passion. Who knows? But So time goes on,
connection.
the seasons change. The bookshop's not doing, the shop around the corner is not doing very well now that Fox Books has officially opened. They're seeing obviously a huge decrease in profits, as you would. Kathleen in this time, so when her and Joe are talking to each other through email, they have promised not to like divulge personal details. So they'll talk about events, but like not give details. So one time she's like, "I need advice," and he's like, "What is it?" And then she's like, "It's about my job," and he's like, "What is it?" And it's like, "No details," or my store or whatever. So he gives her advice to like fight basically and go to the mattresses. So Frank writes this like impassioned article about the shop around the corner. They do like picket outside Fox Books. They have these like protests. It's very sweet. But unfortunately, nothing changes. And it's just getting worse and worse. So Kathleen's pretty depressed about it. So she's like, okay. Once he mentioned, Joe was like, hey, do you want to meet sometime? And she was like, and then just like shut her computer and like never responded is my guess. Which is a good response to have when, this stranger that you've, met online, the fact that you'd be facing them in real life is like, ooh, I'm not ready for that.
Also, and this isn't really like addressed seriously, and because they end up figuring out that both of them like don't like the people they're with, but there is that aspect of infidelity that is like a little bit strange in this, and
even though they're like,
it
we're
sort
friends.
of just gets ignored. Yeah, but like I can't imagine like if I was just like, yay, like right into this dude, like I'm like emailing every day to this guy, and I had like a live-in boyfriend or girlfriend, I would just feel really shitty. And they obviously they hide it. And the way they know it's not appropriate because they will only do it when they're alone. Like they hide it from the people they're living with.
Right.
So that part is like a little bit sketchy, and like I wonder like why they did that in some ways, but I think they did it because they're like side people, or their significant others are like interesting characters that they want to like work into it,
or they like represented who they used to be or something, because like maybe they were right for each other at some point, but we only met them at this point in their life when they've met each other. So I don't know, maybe it's suggesting things have changed, because you're supposed to get the sense that like Joe Fox is like a total asshole. But unfortunately, he's Tom Hanks, so like that's
exactly
very difficult for him to be like a villain. Like it's just not, it's never gonna happen. No. Even in his like most villainous, which is like I can't even. We talked about this. He's
Road
like,
to
has he ever
Perdition.
been a bad guy in it?
Well, Road to Perdition. He's like
still,
a gangster and kills people.
And like, but he's still like a whatever that is. What's that? The hero thing. The like fault.
Tragic hero.
Yeah. Tragic hero. It's like they have a fault in their stars. No. But yeah, so it's hard for him to be bad. But anyways, so eventually, something's got to give. Another
different movie.
That's another Nancy Myers movie, right?
That's
Nancy
this
isn't
Myers.
Nancy.
Different.
Who's Nancy
Yeah,
Myers?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nancy Myers does
but
also
is she related?
great rom-coms. Not related at all, but also
not related to Nora
great
Ephron
writer.
at all. She's never
Nope.
done like a Nora Ephron.
No,
story?
she does
It's
like her
confusing.
own thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Kathleen decides, you know what? I got to close the store. That's it. But wait, does she close the store before or after her and Frank part ways? Spoiler.
After.
Okay. So before she closes the store, she decides one day, why am I with Frank? Like I have nothing in common. Like he's annoying and a drip.
Well, he's like very political. He seems like
Yeah.
not like libertarian, but just that people who have sort of like very strict political thinking. And they're at the movies one night and they're just having this discussion. Oh, because she's telling him about Birdie and how Birdie told her this story about how she used to date like Franco, the like dictator from Spain. And Frank like flips out and is like, wow, like, I can't believe that. Almost like she's crazy. And she's like, Birdie is like my second mom, my surrogate mother after my mom died. Like, how can you talk to her like that and whatever? And then she's like, Frank, I have something to tell you. Like, I didn't vote in the last election. And he's like, I forgive you. She was just like, fuck this guy. I mean, she like
forgive me?
likes him, but like Sweetie said, just realizes like wake up call, like, okay, like this is not the relationship I want to be in.
Not working out. So they part ways. Joe and his partner also part ways after they get stuck in an elevator, and Joe's ready to like spill his guts to the group, and Patricia's just like, "Ugh, where are my Tic Tacs?" And he's just like looks at her like, "Why am I with you?" And so they seem to like both have the same moment, like at different points. Where
If
they're
I
both
ever
like,
get
"Why am
out
I
of
with this
here,
person?"
I'm getting my eyes lasered.
Eyes lasered. She's so great. I love her.
If I ever got out of here, I'm talking to my mama more. I wonder what my
That
mama's
lady,
doing
like,
now.
Why is she Southern? Weird.
If I ever get out of here, I'm telling Aretha I want to marry her.
Just gonna do all of them. All right, is that it? Anyone else in the
Yes.
elevator? Who else? Is
And
in the
Joe never
elevator?
got to say his, so I wonder what he was gonna say.
He's probably gonna be like, "I'm gonna have sex with Kathleen."
Yeah, if I ever get out of here, I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
break up with you.
Yeah. Oh, but so we missed the part where so they decide to meet or whatever. So he takes his buddy Kevin, Dave Chappelle, and they go to the coffee shop, and Kathleen's going to be holding a book with a flower in it. And so Joe's like freaking out. He's all nervous, as you would be. And he's like, Kevin, like you go check her out, see if she's okay, which is like super bullshit, right? It's like, oh, you have to make sure this person's good looking and then like go in or don't go in, like bullshit.
Yeah.
So Kevin takes a peek, and he knows it's Kathleen Kelly because he's seen her on this news. They did a news story on the protests and stuff. And he's like, what? And so then he's like, well, she's very beautiful. And Joe Fox is like, I love that part where he like shakes the chest, like, she had to be. It's like total Tom Hanks, like freak out, like mild freak out. I love it. And yeah, and then Kevin's like, well, she almost has the same coloring as that Kathleen Kelly. And he's like, Kathleen Kelly? Who cares about Kathleen Kelly?
She's pretty. Who cares?
Yeah. He's like, well, if you don't like Kathleen Kelly, you're not going to like this girl. And he's like, why? He's like, because she is Kathleen Kelly. And he's like, no fucking way. So he goes up there, freaks out. He just like can't even handle it and just like walks off. So now it's like been, I don't know, 30 minutes or whatever. Kathleen's waiting anxiously. The guy's not coming. Terrible feeling. And who should stroll in but Joe fucking Fox. And he's like being super like smarmy and is like, can I sit here? And she's like, no, you can't. I'm on a date or whatever. But he, makes fun of her or whatever. And then she gives him like a real barb that like she's been trying to do pretty much ever since she met Joe Fox. But this time the words come out and she feels immediately like bad afterwards. And is he like feigning that his feelings are hurt, or is he actually sad? I don't know.
It's so
Because he
funny
knows the
because
backstory of like how she's never been able to do that. And then it's like he's rooting her on, but also pretending to be sad.
I don't know. He is like such a different person as the Joe Fox in person than he is like when he's writing to her. And it is so different. And I think he just sees it, before he knew who she was. And he always like kind of liked her and liked her spirit, but it really was just like business for him. And then once he realizes it's her, he kind of even becomes even more of a jerk than he was before. I don't know. It's like kind of weird.
But to like, he just, I
but
don't know,
to throw her off
for
the
some-
scent or something, like I don't know. Maybe he just was
who
like
knows?
didn't want it
So-
to work out and wanted to torpedo it or something. I don't know.
Maybe. So anyway, so that happens, and then they break up with their partners. Well, they broke up with their partners before. And then who else should break up but Joe Fox's older father, whose spouse ran away with the nanny and is, casual side lesbian. And also she was like kind of sexually harassing Joe Fox. So it's kind of uncomfortable. Very odd situation. So his dad moves in on the like fancy boat with Joe, and they have this like real heart to heart, and he tells him something, something I always zone out on. But what does he say to him? He's like, you'll meet someone in your life who
is like you're living your life, makes life worth living or something like that. Some
Yeah.
like very like deep, meaningful thing. And it sounds like his dad's never found that. Like, and it sounds like both of his like grandfather and his dad.
And Joe's like, wait a minute. He's like, I've found that with Kathleen Kelly. So then from that point on, he like makes it this like new mission. It's now spring, so things are like, you know how spring is. It's like, ooh, things are blooming. Like, oh, gonna start shaving my legs. Like, it's exciting. So,
My winter
he
fur.
trots on over to Kathleen's house where has a cold, unfortunately. And he shows up with a bunch of daisies, which he remembered. It's very sweet that when they first met, she had mentioned that daisies were her favorite flower because they look so friendly or whatever. So he brings her those, and then basically tries to strike up like a friendship with her. And she's like, this is weird, and like, why are you here? And she's like wearing a coat because she's embarrassed. She's in her pajamas. It's a funny scene. Wait, does he ask her out on like a real date, and then she's like, no, and then he's like, we'll just be friends or something?
No,
Or
because
does he not even
like
ask her on a date?
so it is kind of a weird thing because he knows and she doesn't. It's like
Yeah.
it's a very like weird dynamic because he keeps like running into her. You know, he's trying because she asked to meet again through the pen pal thing. And remember, he's like, I can't right now. I'm in the middle of something that needs tweaking. So the tweaking means his relationship with Kathleen Kelly in person. So I think his first mode was like, I'm going to get her to try to fall in love with me as the Joe Fox that she knows. Because really, he's almost living this double life, right? So that's like his first thing. But like, and she does start to do that because they start hanging out. They start running into each other. Like we said, they go on these little lunch dates and he's giving her all this advice about what to do with this guy online. And obviously he has the upper hand because it's himself. And that part is really weird to me.
Yeah.
It always
like,
makes
is
me
this
uncomfortable.
manipulative? Like, and like, it's probably why
I
she like
think it
cries
is
at the end. 'Cause
manipulative.
she's like, I was played. Like, I just would feel
Right.
like
That's why the end,
I would
like,
feel.
I'm
what
not
is
all
that
in for
called?
the end.
I would. Yeah. But I would feel like kind of like embarrassed maybe because you're like, it's like telling your crush that you love them, but you don't realize that that person is your crush. I don't know. It's like, it's really weird. But yeah, so yeah, so
and obviously he's
friendship.
lying and like faking all this surprise and like all this stuff. I don't know. Like that seems like a level of deception that is like would be really hard to like have a foundation of a relationship on. But whatever, it's Hollywood.
It's true.
It's whatever. Life goes on.
It's sweet somehow. So then they come to like whatever. He finally decides he's ready to like meet. So he tells her to meet him at like this garden. He and Brinkley, his dog, will be waiting. And then Kathleen also meets up with Joe Fox that day and tells him. And then he does like I think this is the most like dickish thing where he's like, man, like if you hadn't been you and I hadn't been me, like, do you think we would have had a chance? And obviously she's like now in love with him. So now she's upset because she's going to go meet this guy who she's not sure that she knows she has this connection to, but now she likes Joe Fox. So she's confused. And so I just think that was mean. And so she's like,
tough,
turns
but
him down and is like,
I do like
go.
that moment because he's like so vulnerable and he says like, I don't know. He just is like
no,
says
it's super
such
sweet.
things.
But when you think about it, it's just like that is a dick thing. But whatever. She changes into like a sweet little dress. Always has a cardigan, and then like goes out the door and goes to meet NY152. So as she's waiting, she starts having like those little doubts in her head, like, oh, he's not coming again, that kind of thing. But then she hears a dog bark, and then she hears Joe Fox be like, Brinkley! And then she's like, what? And she looks at him. And then she like smiles, but then she cries. Because like we said, she's been deceived for a long time. And then she's like, I wanted it to be you. I wanted it to be you so badly. And it's like, it's pretty sweet. And then they kiss, and then that's it. And then they're, live happily ever after, or so we think. Do we think? Do you think they made it?
Yeah, I think they did. Definitely.
I think they did. Yeah.
They were like a great match, and it was one of those things that like, can you be like a match with someone? I mean, they always say this when you online date, right? Like, don't do that pen pal thing because you will fall in love with someone and then you meet them and then just like it's not even like physically. It doesn't have to mean you're attractive or whatever. You have to be attracted to them for some reason. And it just doesn't always pan out that person that they were via writing just not is how they are in person. And that's such a huge thing when you're online dating because you do find these guys who are like these amazing writers to you and are so clever, and it just doesn't translate to them in person. Like to some people, but like you just cannot connect on that level.
Yeah.
And life is in person. Life is not in writing, and it's not in letters. Like it's very romantic and lovely, but like at the end of the day, like you have to be with this person face to face for the rest of your life. So yeah, it's really interesting. And
Yeah.
it's funny because obviously with this time period, so 1998 again, you're talking about how that was so new for people, that people only met in coffee shops and in bars and in setups. There were personal ads and stuff like that, but you wouldn't talk for like weeks probably. Like, it was just, we've never had this time. I mean, now we have for the last time I remember many years, 10 years,
What time?
15 years.
Time to do what?
That of online dating, where you have this issue now, and now that's the new normal, which is like so crazy. But yeah, like we said, adorable film. Always cry at that last part. I don't know. It's the somewhere over the rainbow. It's the
Yeah.
garden. It's how she's dressed. It's like
Brinkley
oh god,
the dog.
It's
It's just like it's
too much
everything
for me. Yeah, and like I said, like the end, like I just don't see Tom Hanks as a romantic lead, and I don't think they have any like physical chemistry to me. They seem like buddies, and like I could like watch them talk all day. Like I think they're so great, and like watching them, and
Yeah.
the
Just, like,
script
what
is
they're- yeah.
awesome.
But that's
But,
like,
like, yeah, I
their
just
that's
don't
like their chemistry.
Yeah. But I just see
I
it
mean, I
like more
think it's
friendly.
fine.
But-
They're just like, what were you looking for? Like something hot and heavy? Like what's happening here?
I don't know if just Tom Hanks is like a dad figure to me or something, and like seeing him
Dads
making
can
out
be
with
in
somebody.
love.
I know, but like personally for me, so I don't know. He's like Tom Hanks is just like such the everyman, and he can play everybody, but he's really just more like that everyman character for me, who like just shouldn't be sexualized, I guess I'll say. So it's the Shop Around the Corner, which this was based off of, was the movie, as I said, with Jimmy Stewart, and I wanted to know if you think like it's Tom Hanks our times Jimmy Stewart. If you saw Jimmy Stewart as kind of this everyman
maybe,
kind of person
yeah.
that like everyone really liked. Don't you
Totally.
think that? Like I think that could be like a
Yeah.
total comparison there. Because I mean, do I feel that way about Jimmy Stewart? No, like I think he obviously had a
I've
certain
never really seen
charm
him
to
be sexualized either.
I mean, do you remember that kiss from It's a Wonderful Life? They just like smack
Yeah.
their faces together, like the 1940s kisses.
Yeah.
It's like so
Yeah.
violent.
That's
But
wild.
yeah, stinking adorable. Love this movie.
Oh yeah, so cozy. Obviously, you've got like the hallmarks of a cozy movie. You've got Meg Ryan. When I wrote that down, I wrote Meg and Ryan. Not quite. Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks. You got fall scenes in the fall, in the autumn. It's just so, I love that like New York in the fall thing is like, I don't know. There's just
that's
something
amazing.
about it. Have I even ever been in New York in the fall? Probably not. But if I like see it in a movie, I'm
have.
like,
It's nice.
ooh. But it might
It's
just,
just
be
like
like an
that.
overall fall feeling. There's
Let's-
books, obviously, so
Oh,
cozy.
obviously.
It's just like, it just has all
Let's
the things. It has all the things.
let's go back to talk to Meg about Meg Ryan, because we've got a lot of chat about Tom Hanks, but like Meg Ryan, I think for me this was like the movie before she turned like a little bit crazy with the plastic surgery and got sort of like uncute. Because she really is like just the cutest person, and in this movie, oh my god, and her like you wouldn't think that like an androgynous looking person could be cute, but she's like the cutest like androgynous person like ever. The way they style her in this movie with like all the cozy turtlenecks,
my
the
God.
like vests,
Cardigans, yeah.
she has so many cardigans over dresses, like flat shoes, like she's like
I think that's
she's
where I get
so
my cardigan style
casual.
from.
Oh, like and that's not my style at all, but it's
But-
to the point she's so
Yeah.
cute. I would be like, I'm gonna cut my hair like that, and it would look horrible, but it would be like I would be so influenced by it because she looks so good.
Did you watch this in HD?
SD. I think that was the
don't know
only
if it mattered.
choice. Yeah.
So there's this one scene, the scene at the party where she's like yelling at him because he's scooping like all the caviar off of the thing.
That
Was her
caviar
makeup
is a
super
garnish.
Weird. Was her makeup super weird for you? In
Oh, I
that
don't
scene? She
remember.
had like white
What was it?
circles under her eyes.
Yes,
so,
no, it was. I was like, that
and
concealer
you're
was
like,
not blended in.
Why? Yeah, how did they not catch that or like fix that? I don't know.
And she has crazy,
crazy.
overplucked 90s eyebrows, like so
Yeah.
tiny. And if you see Meg Ryan, like after that, she got like crazy lip injections. She got like and it was like, I mean, you know, everyone obviously I'm sure from her point of view, it was like, wow, like I need to stay cute. Like this is my bread and butter here.
Yeah.
This is how I make money. And she started freaking out about that. I mean, to me, her face was like perfect. And that like you would fiddle with it is like, oh, why?
So
why,
sad.
girl,
She got a couple
why?
wrinkles, you know, freaked out.
I know. And I
Freaked
think that's what
out.
happens when like that's your paycheck being like, okay, this is how I look is like how I make my money. I'm going to try to hold on to that. But
Did she like stop acting? Where's she?
Yeah,
been?
I haven't seen her. And I'm like thinking of that one where she was
last
like
time
a
she was in a movie
boxing-
was in 2015.
Oh wow.
She was a
I
boxer.
know she was like a boxing coach, not a coach or something, or like a manager
Against
for a
the
boxer.
ropes.
Yes,
Against the ropes.
and I
Funny.
remember
Oh, she has long hair in that.
Yeah, but she, like, yeah, she was just fabulous, and she's so cute in this. And I think like I read that like this was the most like easy film for her to do. What didn't like require a lot of range, and she like didn't want to ever do a film like this again because she was like kind of twee in
She's
it.
probably like herself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
she's adorable, and I mean, I'm
so-
again, that's not my style, but I would kill for that wardrobe.
Totally. Okay, so I'd like to start with a plea. Can someone please explain to me handkerchiefs? So like the
Oh my
idea
God,
is
sweetie, are we the
that
same
you-
person? I literally
we
turned to
watch this
Jimmy and said
together.
what you
we
just are
probably
going to say.
So the idea
You said
behind a
it before.
handkerchief is that you sneeze into, or somebody sneezes and is like all snotty, and you're like, here is my handkerchief for you. So the person, maybe a stranger, blows their snot in your handkerchief, and then you're supposed to take it back. Like, what happens? Is the handkerchief gone
I thought
forever?
The handkerchief was for personal use only. Because I think
too.
everyone carried around their own, so you would never have
But
to
then
give
guys,
yours to somebody.
but then that was like a chivalrous thing to be like, oh, here's a hanky, like when a girl sneezes or whatever. So I don't think that's necessarily the case. But so
were they not
weird. And
aware
so-
of
yeah.
like the germ situation? I mean, now with this coronavirus stuff, nightmare
We're like, oh,
handkerchiefs.
we're on high alert. We're like, oh my god,
burn that.
but it's pretty wacky. So I've also for the record, have never blown my nose in a handkerchief, and I'm glad.
Well,
I feel
remember
like-
Pepe used to have one? Pepe was like all about
Yeah.
the handkerchiefs. Not
Dad-
like
I feel
nice
like Dad
monogram
had one
ones.
too.
Because you would buy packages of them. So he had like packages them and would like constantly be going through them. I think that you'd wash them, but like you would have a lot.
Why do you have to
like-
blow your nose so much?
It was a blowing nose. I mean, when were Kleenexes invented? Like this is like a revolutionary thing if you think about it. Disposable handkerchief. Like
It's true.
Dang.
I'm gonna Google that. When were handkerchiefs invented?
no, when were Kleenex? Kleenex.
Oh,
Disposable.
sorry.
like disposable.
Kleenex. You're right. What was I thinking?
Wow, this is so
All right.
on topic. I love
Kleenex
it.
were invented in 1924, so they were around, guys. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny. I also liked how, did you notice at the fancy party where he scoops all the caviar off? It's like this fancy, one of those like New York fancy whatever industry book parties, which is like at somebody's like gorgeous New York apartment, townhouse, whatever. And then they have it like fancy catered. So you have whatever that caviar. What was that even? Was it like a hunk of like a Jello molded cheese with caviar around it? I couldn't figure out what
I
the
think
like.
it was pate. It was pate.
It looks so
with caviar
creamy.
around
It
the middle.
was so
That's some
weird.
like rich shit right there.
Right. So they have all this rich shit. But
Was it
for
the
some
turkey?
Reason, yeah, but for some reason, guests have to carve their own turkey on this like giant turkey or chicken, like a full bird.
Oh, totally.
And the
When did
lady
you
just
come-
comes and like plops it down, and Meg Ryan's like carving like with this giant knife.
Like, when
And
have
I'm
you
like,
been
what
to
kind
a
of
house party and they're like,
bullshit is
I
this?
made a turkey. Like,
Carve
right.
it yourself. Bye.
It's
There was
like
like
some
a
level of
catering
party.
staff. It was so weird. So yeah, those are just some funny observations I noticed, on this rewatch.
Oh yeah.
But those kinds of things definitely. I mean, they stuck out for me in this movie, even probably when I was younger. But my favorite parts, for sure, are like when he goes to that cool street fair. Being street fair is like so cool. I was like, I want to go to a street fair in New York City. Like, I really wanted to do that.
that
still
scene cracks
have
me up. I was
never
laughing
been
at
to a
all of the
street
parts.
fair.
Well, I love when
Oh my
he
God,
like
when
does
he-
the
the hammer.
throws the mallet. Yes. And the guy trips on
favorite.
it.
And they throws it at the guy. I love that so much. There's just so many like classic Tom Hanks mannerisms in this movie. Like when he's trying to type his like apology email to Meg Ryan for standing her up, and he like deletes it like one keystroke at a time. So he's just like t t t t, and just like keeps hitting it in his little like screw like angry Tom Hanks face. His freak out on the fence, which we already said. There's just like all kinds of little things like that.
You know the part where he is at the bookstore and he's like trying to hustle the kids out, and the little boy's like FOX, and then he shuts the balloon like in the door by accident, and then like opens it, and he's like, "Good thing it wasn't the fish." And like Meg Ryan and Steve Zahn are like, or Steve Zahn are like cracking up, and I guess that was it. Like he just said that, and like kept it in the movie, like it was totally like he just thought of it. Love that guy. Cute. Like they were really laughing because it was like funny.
I love that.
Yeah, so the
magic.
So I love that street fair part too. The parts that I really remember are the grocery store cash only line. So that's been like super famous, and all whatever Thanksgiving we always talk about it because you know she's trying to, she sees him at the store, and this is when they're like in their hating each other phase, and she is just avoiding him the whole time. He doesn't see her, and she sees him, so she's just going around like Zabar's and like trying to avoid him, and you know, is really distracted and gets into the cash only line. So she's just like trying to get out of there, and the woman's like $72.50, and she hands over her card, and she's like, and the woman's like, nope, this is cash only, and she's like, can you like please just run it? And like all the people in line, there's this like funny guy named like
that
Henry,
bitchy guy
who's like,
Henry.
she doesn't have any cash.
It's about
this is the
time.
cash only line. Like, can't you read the sign? He's like freaking out. So you know, Joe Fox like steps into the picture and is like kind of flirting with Rose, who's the cashier lady, and he's like Happy Thanksgiving, and she just is like glaring at him, and he's like, that's when you say Happy Thanksgiving back, and she goes, Happy Thanksgiving back. It's like this, so then there's like a knock joke, like orange you gonna run the card through. I mean, it's like I just like love that, and I just love the Happy Thanksgiving back part. Funny. The Christmas
funny.
song part like cracks me up all the time. So like they show like two sides of Christmas. So you have Joe Fox with like his family, and it has Annabelle, his aunt, singing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow," like very like off key and like really rushed to piano.
It's not great,
I love that part too. It's not great. And then they switch to like the bookstore having their little party. So it's like all the people who work there, and Kathleen and Frank. And they're singing this song with this Christmas song that I don't even know is a Christmas song. I only know it from this movie. And it's like, the violins are ringing, the bells, da da da. I don't know. So there's this part where they go through all these instruments, and like one's like the clarinet goes doodly doodly doody doo doo doo. And then the next line is like, the horn. It
They, like, can't
sounds
figure it out, and
so
they, like-
forlorn.
And you're like, are they
And
making
you can see
up
like
the
Meg
words,
Ryan,
or are
like
they, like-
I don't know. I feel like Meg Ryan is legit cracking up because like Greg Kinnear's character like knows all the lyrics, and they're like stumbling, but he does it so like the horn. He's like so into it. I love that
It's
part.
funny.
It's
For
great.
sure.
And then the other part, so random, but it's the part where he tells her like go to the mattresses, and so it's all about like fighting. It's just business, and she does this like punching thing in the store. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I was like,
She does it for,
cracked
like, an
up when
hour.
I saw her doing
I'm
it.
like,
I know.
we
She's
get
like-
it.
She's like punching all in the store and is like warming herself up, and I just like remember little Meg Ryan, her like little arms being like boop boop boop. Oh, love it.
So
Love
adorable.
that.
I like the part where after she gets stood up, and then she's telling all her bookstore amigos about it, and everyone comes in and it's like, he stood you up, and then they're all trying to think of things, and they're like, well, that makes sense then, like he obviously fainted and was in the hospital, and they're like, oh yeah. And then George comes in, and he has like a newspaper with him. And he's like, or maybe. And then he shows them the article, and it's like, rooftop killer, like, caught. And he's like, it was 2 blocks away from the cafe. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, that's it then. He was in the police station. And he only had one call, and he had to call his lawyer. And they, like, just keep, like, going on with this, like, story. It's so funny. I just love the little bookstore homies dynamic, and it's so sad when it closes.
I can't believe it. 40
and you're
whatever
like, ugh.
years. Like,
I hope they
That's
still
the
stay
worst.
friends.
I know.
You know, I
I
hope.
know.
I hope they check in. George gets a job at Fox Books, so that's funny. Good for him. But yeah, it's
Funny,
Just, it's just real sweet.
Funny trivia about that bookstore I read, that the actual location of the shop around the corner bookstore was actually a cheese and antique shop. You know, that was like a thing.
Ew.
But they like loved the look of that store, that they like sent the owner of it on vacation, took for a couple weeks, took all of the stuff out of the store, made it the bookshop, filmed it, and then put everything back.
Oh my god. I wonder how much.
know.
Where did they send them on vacation? That's sweet.
I don't know, but how cool is
Super
that? And then you'd be like, oh my God, that's
sweet.
my shop. But it is like the cutest little building. And she just has it like it's decorated so well. And if you were a reader as a child, I mean, I'm sure we all were, or remember all those books, they're like all there. And it's just like, and the
Yeah.
little ones that they highlight are just like, oh my God. Like,
So
children's books
okay,
are the
so
best.
the one that she highlights a bit are the like ballet shoes, skating shoes, and they're by the like Knowles whatever, which I always thought until
Stratfield?
tonight were those books that we had with the locket
No,
with the
they're
charm
different.
necklaces.
Yeah.
I know there. So I looked up. So we had these books when we were little that came with like necklaces, and they had charms on them. And I loved those. There was like the ballet slippers one, the silver slippers was like the first one we had. I think.
Yep.
Did we have the skating one, or did someone else? Maybe we didn't have the skating one.
Someone
Then
else
I
had
got
them.
Then I got the tiny angel one, which was like she was like a singer in the choir or whatever. But oh man, I loved those books.
I know.
I googled them and looked at the pictures, and I felt like so cozy.
Oh
all of
my
a sudden.
God.
I was
Yes,
like,
the
"Ugh."
silver slippers.
Yes.
That's the one
And
I
she like
have.
wants to be the prima ballerina, but she's like
Yes.
not good enough or something. And they're like, she has ballet posters in her room, and I was like, oh my God, just like Sweetie. I don't know if you had a ballet
I don't-
poster.
Do they not? Does not come with a
Your
necklace
friends
now?
did.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, they do. Oh, the ones that I saw did. It had maybe it's pictures of the old ones. I mean, they probably don't make them anymore, right?
Yeah.
They don't like reprint those.
Right. Well, who knows?
But that reminded me of that. So, so cozy, so cozy.
Yeah, there's just such good ones,
then-
and like I do.
And just even what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like and you're babysitting a little bit more now too. So like our chance at looking at children's books are basically like people we babysit, and our friends are having kids too. So it's like getting to see those and like what ones are still popular, and how like even some of the new ones are so good. And I'm just like, oh man, this is like a really good book. But the classics like still live on. Like that, that
Yeah,
have just been around
totally.
forever. They're just still like so captivating to kids. And I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember like going to the bookstore with Mom. She would take us to like a couple of her bookstore hangs.
Compass Rose.
which, like she had we had the Compass Rose in Orleans, which went out of business. Very sad. Didn't you apply for a job there, but you
I
didn't
did.
get it?
I was like, dream job. Didn't get it.
Oh, didn't get it.
Yeah.
Sweetie's first taste of disappointment.
Of rejection.
Missing
Yeah.
out on the rejection, missing out on the Compass Rose bookstore. There's the Brewster bookstore, which was cute. But then there was like another Brewster bookstore that was like where Cafe Al Fresco is, but like on the top of that,
Oh.
on that like I don't know. I remember Mom like looking for books, and then we would just like go off on our own and look through the kids' books or whatever. And because it was like a book, Mom would like get whatever book we wanted or whatever. Like
Yeah.
we would pick out books to buy, right? I just remember that, and like the smell of new books, like it was just so wonderful.
There really weren't that many bookshops
Bookmarks.
now that I think about when we were from. I mean, we really only had the Compass Rose and then Booksmith, Musicsmith, but
No, there were like three. There's the Brewster one.
I
There's
never
two in
went to
Brewster.
Brewster
The ones that I'm
bookstore.
talking about. You never went? I went all
No.
the time. I went with Mom like 2 years ago.
like once, I think.
Oh well, I just have fond memories of bookstores.
That's still there, right?
What
Brewster
Brewster
Bookstore.
bookstore? Yeah, for sure.
Dream job. I'd love to own a bookstore. I would just die.
You know.
I'd die.
I know. I also appreciate about this movie that it's just the writing is just so clever, and part of it I think is that like they're writing essentially letters to each other. So I feel like Nora Ephron's writing style really gets to shine because it's like it's not just people delivering lines to each other that is supposed to be natural. It's like somebody actually is writing a letter and this is their voice. But I love how they interject their like real time character with their writing character, and they really overlap. I would say. I mean, they're really are like exactly like those personas. I think.
I wonder
But,
how
like,
hard
they'll
that
say
was
something
to
out
film.
loud.
Like how they had to film
Yeah.
them like kind of half speaking and
Yeah.
writing and speaking what they were writing, but then sometimes just like reacting and making like
Right.
little
So, yeah,
gestures
they'll,
when
like,
they
do,
were
like,
writing.
motions.
Yeah.
I just love that. I just love how that
hard.
goes. There's all these little touches in the movie. Like, there's this part in the beginning where Joe Fox is like complaining about Starbucks, and the last thing he says is like, grande, mocha, cappuccino. And then the guy who like orders right at that moment is like, grande, mocha, cappuccino. And it's like, it's just like a weird little detail that you're like, that is so funny. And there's a bunch of like little touches like that. And like that nut shop thing that I was saying in the beginning, there's all these New York shops opening. And there's this one shop that was called like New York City Nuts or something. And I was like, is that literally just a shop with nuts? And I like couldn't believe it. And then later when George says that line about this place being a tomb and he's like, I'm going to the nut shop where it's fun, I understood what nut shop he was talking about. And it was just like such a funny little clever detail that is just like, who would notice that? I've only realized that just now watching this tonight. And that it took me however like 10 years, 12 years, 13. Where are we? I don't know. But yeah, I just love so much about this movie. I just love it.
Yeah. So do you think this part is weird that I was watching when they switched to, so they're mostly writing emails, but then they do get to a point where they're doing like instant messaging.
Yeah. He
And it's the
messages
part
her.
where Tom Hanks is like talking, quoting the Godfather stuff. So two things with that. So first of all, I'm glad for most of the times I've seen this movie, I had never seen The Godfather. And now I finally have both 1 and 2. And now I like understand those Godfather quotes. And I'm like, thank God. Because when I saw this the first, 25 times, I was like, what the hell are they talking about? And like,
He would
that's the
always
same boat.
make me do the. He would always make me do the like, yeah. But we would always be like, do the Godfather, but not the actual Godfather. Do Tom Hanks doing the Godfather impression is like our favorite thing to do. When we're always like, and like
Apparently, Tom Hanks is like a Godfather aficionado, and
Hey, it
holds
makes sense.
parties and like has people like quote lines and they watch all the movies. Like it's like a thing. So he was right in his wheelhouse
Cute.
with that. But when he's doing that and he's doing it on instant messenger, what I felt was unrealistic was that he kept putting quotes in. Like he would, every time he wrote The Godfather, he put it in quotes. Every quote he did, he like
Yeah.
put it in quotes. I'm like, if you're writing in chat, you're not quoting titles. Like this is not like an essay.
True,
But
true.
it was a
So
new
unrealistic.
form. It was a new form of communication.
But I love how they like, how have they never, like they met in a chat room, but have only now been emailing? I'm surprised that it took them so long. Because when we did AOL, obviously we were only using the chat.
I know. That's why
man.
I feel like, was it like an adult thing to just do the emailing? And then,
Maybe.
because remember
Yeah.
in Sex in the City with This Happens Too? Miranda gives
She's like-
Carrie like the email, and then like when you remember when you had your email up, anyone you emailed would like appear in your chat too. So
Mm-hmm.
when they came online, they would just like pop up, and remember
Sound the little
Aiden
guy
pops
coming through the
in.
door. Yeah.
But Aiden
She's like,
pops
"Oh
up
my
in her
God.
chat. And he's like,
Can you see
me? So I think that was like a new thing. for
Squats
people.
down on the. It's like hides.
So I think it was okay, maybe email wasn't as much of a stretch, but that you could send these instant messages, which there really was like nothing like it. You know, there wasn't texting, that came later. There was like pagers, so that was like
It was
kind of
great.
instant.
I had so many boyfriends. I was like my most popular online. I played like Family Feud on this like game or whatever, and I met like all these people. And I had like this boyfriend, and I would keep it secret, obviously, from everyone. And I think he was like your age or something. His name was JP or something. And he like sent me. He's like, "Oh, do you want like This is when I think it was before Napster, or maybe right around the time as Napster. But he was basically like, "Oh, I'll burn you a CD of like Limp Bizkit's new CD, which had like just come out." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So he like sent it to me. And Mom like saw the package, like blah, blah, like she like flipped the fuck out and like was
Oh
so
my
mad.
God.
I've never seen her like so, and she like made me break up with him or whatever. Or she also one time found an email that I printed out from my other boyfriend Jordan, and she was like, "You have to break up with him," and I was like, "No." And then I was
Sweetie,
like,
you
"Fine."
could have
And I was
been
like,
like
"Dear
a
Jordan, I'm
cautionary
moving to the
tale
desert."
about people
I
like
would
getting
never have.
kidnapped or
I would
whatever.
never have like engaged in real life. Forget it. I'd be I'm terrified now, going on like a date. So obviously it was never going to happen.
My God.
But yeah, it is funny how like it was so prevalent back then. Just like you would just like I am strangers and just like
yeah,
start.
it was
talking
just
to them.
strangers because you didn't like know anybody. I know. Now
And you were so brave. Like I was so the bravest I've ever been online. Like, it's just great. It's great.
And like, why was that fun? Now that seems like a nightmare to be like, let's talk to strangers, you know? But like,
because it was like new and exciting, and it was like this.
yeah,
instant
and no
form
one
of-
was connected like that. But now we're like over connected, so we're like, no thanks, like get away from me.
Well, and we're
okay.
older. Maybe kids
Oh,
still
yeah.
like that. I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm sure they do. So I wanted to talk about stuff that was like new to the 90s, but is more like normal life now. Because I remember when this movie came out, it was like even stuff that like we hadn't even really seen yet. So one is Starbucks, right? So like Starbucks didn't really
I was
come
thinking
about until that time, and they make like, you know, and especially in more remote places, or we were on Cape Cod. I don't know when the first time I like saw a Starbucks was. I remember the first time I had a fancy coffee drink was at
too.
a Borders though.
A macchiato.
Yeah, like I had a mocha or something. And like I immediately like pooped my pants though, and I was like convinced like I could never have any coffee. Like after that, I was like, nope, like can't do coffee, because I mean that must have been a shock to my like little virgin system.
So,
like I had never had that,
It was
dose of
actually
caffeine.
founded in 1971, which is a lot
Right.
earlier than I
but didn't
thought.
come over here to the East Coast like for a while.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if it says that.
And just, like, all the
but
drinks
yeah,
they had
it
or
was
whatever.
definitely. But it was always in movies or something, and I always feel like it was such like a cool thing.
Yeah. But I don't know when like the first time I saw one. We didn't have them around here for like a while.
Yeah.
Corporate bookstores. So as we said, but RIP, because those corporate bookstores, they came, they went, and then because you had online retailers, so an Amazon selling books for even cheaper, so that completely killed like that business. And now it's actually independent booksellers are like the only ones around and are actually like thriving. So it's so interesting that full
Right.
circle with the books, because we have a ton around here. I mean, we're in Boston, and that's like a whole different thing. But
But
it's
also
just
the,
that
the Kindle aspect too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like less people are buying books. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
totally.
Dave Chappelle, so you know, just kind of was new to the 90s, but then like really came about with like the Chappelle Show. Obviously took some time off, and now is back in like a big way. He just won like the Mark Twain Prize for humor or comedy. So
But he was around. I mean, no, but in the 90s, I mean, there was Robin Hood Men in Tights, Half Baked. Like he had a good run.
yeah, he had a good
Real
run.
successful run for a while.
Online dating. So as we said, you know, new to the 90s, but that's all we have now. So awesome, or not, however you want to see it. And then Brooklyn. So there's this funny line in the movie about the girl who works at the bookshop, the one who's in Miss Congeniality, who says like, like we can't close, like I need this job, like if we don't have it, I'm not gonna be able to pay my rent, and I'm gonna have to move back to Brooklyn. Like it's the worst thing ever. And now like not only does everyone want to live in Brooklyn, but is like not a cheap alternative to anywhere. So
Yeah, totally.
wow, times have
It's pretty
changed.
funny. So like sidebar, my headphones are totally gonna die, and I can't
Okay.
plug them in because I only have one USB port.
Shit, we gotta wrap it up.
We gotta wrap it up. But hey guys, thanks for sticking with us. We hope we bring you joy in life in
Yeah.
this time of coronavirus.
Hang in there, guys.
We hope
Just
you brighten
just
your
try not to-
days. Wash your
try
hands.
not to stress
stay
out.
healthy.
It's gonna get better. You know, we might be
Yeah.
on the uptick of it. So it might be just weird for a couple weeks, but remember to wash your hands. Do what you need to do, but you know, try to just like keep on with your life and just stay smart. You know, doesn't mean be a hermit, but just make good decisions.
Yeah. Come find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Santos. Thanks as always for listening. Bye.